let's get started on our session. So LinkedIn is an absolutely fabulous resource for businesses, both B2B and B2C. I've seen both sides of the coin having great results, and it is a really, really powerful lead generator when it's used properly. And there's a little bit of science goes behind that, but it's actually really easy to get to grips with. The thing I think about LinkedIn that is great to get your head around from the very beginning is that LinkedIn is all about networking. And we know that 80% of all new business comes from your professional networks, from word of mouth, from recommendations, referrals, etc. And this is exactly the opportunity that LinkedIn presents to you, is for you to network online, make good connections, develop those relationships, and hopefully that will lead either to brand champions who say great things about you, or it will lead to new business. Now, when Reid Hoffman started LinkedIn way back, in 2000, in the early 2000s, 2003, he started in his back bedroom, like so many of us, and he really came up with, you know, this strapline at the time, and this is still LinkedIn's strapline: success powered by relationships. And the essentials of LinkedIn are that there is no difference to doing business on LinkedIn as to doing business face-to-face. It is all about relationships. When he connected with people in the early days, as did I, would actually get in touch with them, have a conversation, and see where there could be some mutual sharing of benefit, knowledge, expertise, experience, connections, or whatever that might be. So it was really tapping into those relationships for optimum results. I think the question to ask yourselves at this point in time is to imagine LinkedIn as a new networking group that you are setting up. And how do you want that networking group to work for you? Because if people are invited to your new networking group, they're going to ask a couple of questions. The first one is, of course, what is this networking group all about? Who is this individual, and what are they going to be talking about, and what are they sharing? And the second question is, who else is there? So on LinkedIn, what you are talking about and how you're engaging with people and who you are connected with, because you will be measured to some degree by the quality of the connections in your network, is really, really important. And of course, are you generous? You know, are you somebody who really knows their stuff? Are you generous? Are you creating good content? Are you caring and sharing with your connections, and having good quality conversations that could benefit other people? Because that's really where the power of LinkedIn comes in. So I guess what I'm doing this morning is say, let's kind of forget about the technology a bit, and let's focus on the real relationships and how you can use LinkedIn to cultivate those, because that's where networking is at its very, very best. So LinkedIn, 722 million line, over 67% of them are, you know, business owners. They have budget responsibilities, they have decision-making capabilities, from very large to very small businesses and individuals. 200 countries and regions internationally that you can tap into, really good coverage in most places, and you can have a personal profile for you as an individual, as a professional, and a company page for your company. Please don't set up a company on a personal profile. That's not how LinkedIn works. And all of these are free to you as a basic member. The thing that quite a lot of people don't know, and this is really important to you as exporters, is once you have created your LinkedIn profile, you can present that in 24 different languages. LinkedIn doesn't do the translation for you, but it does create sort of a clone of your English profile, and you can then drop the translated content into there. And at around about £80 per 1,000 words, it's not going to cost you a huge amount of money to have that done professionally. So well worth thinking about, and we'll come on to that in a while. The key question is, once you have that connection, what are you going to do about that relationship? And we will be delving into that during this session in particular. And it is about quality, not about quantity. So we want to make sure that your profile looks great, it makes a fantastic first impression, and that you are having quality conversations with what I like to call your A-lister clients, the people that you really want to target, that you would really love to have a conversation with. So today we're going to look at making a great first impression. So that means knowing your audience and creating a profile that will appeal to them. It is also about understanding how you want to present yourself on LinkedIn, because this is where we get on our soapbox and start shouting about how good we are at what we do and what we have to offer in a, in a very nice way, not in an arrogant, brash way, but it's an opportunity for us to showcase what we're good at and how great our offer is. First impressions are critical. So how do I set up my LinkedIn profile such that it makes the very best first impression? And we're going to hone into your A-list target clients a little bit, because on LinkedIn, yes, you need to do your customer profiling, and we've talked about that a lot in all of the sessions, but there's a different dimension to who you might want to connect with and follow on LinkedIn that could benefit you when it comes down to creating content. And then the all-important question, you're connected now, so what? So we're going to focus on how to craft a tailored connection request to individuals that will get you the right positive responses, but then how you can continue with the conversation following on from that. And I've got some tools that might help you to actually adopt the right tone and approach as well for best results. And then at the end, we'll do a little bit of planning. In terms of your LinkedIn activities, I like to mention to you at this stage that actually, even though this sounds like a huge amount of work, once you have your profile sorted and you have your systems in place, 12 minutes a day, that's an hour a week, will get you good results on LinkedIn. It is about consistency and it is about engaging. But, social media can be the perfect way to waste time when you think you're doing good stuff. So how can I get the best from LinkedIn on a sort of minimum effort, maximum return basis? So the first thing that I would like to invite you to do, and you might be able to do this in tandem with listening at present. If not, then you can jot this down to look at afterwards. But this is how you measure the performance of your LinkedIn profile. So linkedin.com/sales/SSI. This score is updated every day. And when you type that in, you will get a percentage score here, in this case 64%, which gives an indication of how your LinkedIn profile is performing across the network. And I would also mention to you at this stage that performing well on LinkedIn is one thing, but if you have a strong LinkedIn presence, it will also reap benefits for you in other search engines, Google, Yahoo, Bing, and some of the international search engines as well, where very often people will find your LinkedIn profile before they find your website. So it's really well worthwhile investing some time in making sure that your LinkedIn profile is performing at best. So let's take a little bit of a look at how this score is made up and how it is calculated. So the first score at the top, and I'll just go back and, forgive me, I'll just go back and show you these. So the there are 4 different scores here, all 25%. Establish your professional brand, finding the right people, engaging with insights, and building relationships. So 4 core activities on LinkedIn that you can prove to get 25 out of 25 in each of these areas. So what makes them up? Let's just take a little bit of a closer look. First of all, establishing your professional brand, completing your profile with the customer in mind, and becoming I've put a thoughtful, that should be becoming a thought leader by publishing meaningful posts, becoming thoughtful, becoming, caring and sharing good content with your connections. Finding the right people. So this is proactively identifying better prospects using LinkedIn's search and research tools. And I'm going to show you those online so that you'll be able to start doing that straight away. So going into LinkedIn and being a proactive networker, engaging with insights, sharing content updates to create relationships and maintain and sustain those on an ongoing basis. And finally, connecting and establishing trust with decision makers. So developing those relationships further and sharing quality content, but also engaging in conversations on LinkedIn, joining in the conversation in other people's content, but encouraging conversations and connections by publishing your own content and talking to people who share and comment on your posts and articles. So LinkedIn Sales Solutions, you can find out more about the Social Selling Index there. And I would say don't go mad on this. It's a great one to follow, but do check it perhaps once a week and just see how you're performing. You can see really quick increases coming. That means that your profile has been shared more by LinkedIn and is working harder for you across LinkedIn and the search engines. So we have here next the profile page, and I'd just like to point out a couple of things on here for you. You have the background image at the very top. We'd like that to be branded. A photograph, which should be, according to LinkedIn's terms and conditions, a head and shoulder shot up here at the top. And underneath your name, you have what we call the headline, which is 220 characters and an opportunity for you to give me your sort of little mini elevator pitch, not just your job title, but actually maybe a little bit about what you do. You can put the company name in there and your job title if you wish, but I focused very much on the benefit that I bring to the customers, which is one way of doing it. And it's because this top part of your LinkedIn profile is what is shared across the network, you want this to be as compelling and attractive to your audience as possible, so they come onto your profile and they read the rest of it. We have your contact information here. I'd like you to fill that out completely so that it's got all of your contact details in, including the international dialing code for the UK and of course the UK, so that we're making it easier for international clients to get in touch with us. And we have the about section in the middle. That is a longer form piece of content, 2,600 characters, and it is just a summary of your professional career and where you're at now and why you might be a really interesting connection for me to do a bit more networking and have further conversations with. So there's quite a few things on here to think about. You'll see the pencil on the right hand side. You click on that to edit each of these respective areas, and we'll be looking at these more as we go through this session. You have also here, when you start writing posts and you start doing articles, you can feature the more prominent articles here and you can have a collection of them, which makes your profile more dynamic and more interesting to your audience. You will also have down here at the bottom your dashboard, and alongside your SSI score, this is a good benchmark to take of where your LinkedIn profile is at present. Emma's asked a question, a very valid one. Thank you, Emma, about the SSI index, and that calculates the performance of your personal page. You will get some metrics on your company page that LinkedIn offers, but the SSI index is specifically for your personal page, Emma. Thank you for the question. That was really valuable. So this is your dashboard. Nobody can see it, just you. So it's not visible to the public. And at the top, you've got the number of people who viewed your profile, the post views, and your search experiences. And here in the top right-hand corner, you have the status of your LinkedIn profile. If it's fully complete and LinkedIn are happy that you've made a good start, it will say all star. You could be at beginner, you could be at intermediate. The best approach to your LinkedIn profile is to fill out as many areas as possible, and to do that as if you were talking to the people face to face. We all tend to go a little bit into what I call brochure speak when we are completing our LinkedIn profile, and it can sometimes sound a little bit stilted and a little bit, well, certainly not sound the way it would sound as if we were talking to someone. So the invitation here is to really write your LinkedIn profile in a very genuine, heartfelt way, as if you were actually talking direct to someone. That is how your LinkedIn profile will work best for you. So make a note of your dashboard and where you are, because that's a really great benchmark to take, and you will be able to see how your performance is improving in future. Now, I'd like to show you another little tip here. If you have your mobile phones at hand and you've got LinkedIn on there, you can take your mobile phone out and pull up the LinkedIn app. And as you do that, on the left-hand side here, you will see in the advanced search box at the top, you've got 4 little squares, 3 of them solid, 1 is dots. And I'd like you to click on there, and that will bring up, there it is, that will bring up this screen. And essentially you have 2 areas. One is your QR code, and that QR code is unique to you. And on the left-hand side, you've got the button where you can press to scan someone's QR code. So if you'd like to try it out now on screen, if you press scan and hold that scanner up against my QR code on screen, it will bring up my profile and make that much easier for you to actually then just press on my profile, and if you wish, connect with me. It would be a pleasure to connect with you all on LinkedIn, of course. And this is a really, really quick way of doing that. Really handy if you're at meetings, networking sessions, exhibitions, etc. And of course, that QR code you can share, you can save it to your gallery. And I would recommend that you use that across your marketing resources. I usually have a laminated version of it in my pocket to take with me when I go to sessions, so that you can do it essentially even if you don't have your phone there. So a tip for you there for your networking. So this is your home page, and you will see up at the top here you have the navigation bar, your home page, your network, that is a list of all of your connections, jobs, any messages that come in are listed up here, notifications that you can get on a daily basis of people who are moving jobs or have birthdays, or messages that are coming into you from various different groups that you might be on, for example. And then you have a circle that says me, and it has a small picture in there. And if you click on the arrow beneath that circle, it brings up this screen. And here you can see what I mean about the headline. You will see that headline at the very top under your picture. And if you look down a little, it comes up with two screens, settings and privacy, and help. And as an action for you to do after the session, I'd like you to go into this settings and privacy area and look in particular at privacy and communications on the right-hand side, and make sure that you are happy with the standard settings that LinkedIn has given you in your profile. And you can just click on change on the right-hand side, check it out. It's all very easy to understand. Change and amend the settings if you wish. My recommendation to you would be as open a networker as you possibly can. I make all of my first degree connections visible to my first degree connections, because this is about networking, and it means that you will essentially get more benefit from that open networking position. But if that doesn't suit your business model, you can, for example, prevent people from seeing your connections, or prevent certain groups of connections, first, second, or third, from seeing your connections. And you can also change your profile visibility and how LinkedIn communicates with you. So all possible within there. The other area that's important is this help section. So if you forget or you don't know how to do certain things on LinkedIn, you can go up to that circle at the top navigation bar, click on there, select help, and then put in, for example, how do I remove a connection? And that remove a connection help message will come up, and you can follow the instructions. It is super easy and super, super practical. The other thing I'd just like to say about your home page before we progress further is that on this page, you will see your pages that you are managing. These are company pages. And down at the bottom, you will see recent places that you have visited, and you will also get your hashtags and such like, which is something, posting in hashtags and tagging people is something that we will focus on quite heavily in the second webinar. When you connect with someone, what happens is that their content will appear here in your news feed, which is the central part of the home page. Now, if you comment and share their content, and if they comment on and share your content, you will remain visible to each other. But if a week passes by and there has been no interchange, that person will eventually not see your content, and you will eventually not see that other person's content. So if you are proactively connecting with people because you want that relationship to develop, you want to share content, and you want that content to be seen, it's important that you really start engaging with those people. If you don't engage with your connections, their content will be invisible to you, and your content will be invisible to them. And that's a really important concept to understand on LinkedIn. Not unusual, of course, but it is important. So I would like to ask you a question. What is your biggest challenge on LinkedIn at present? And Paul will put the poll live, and I'll give you a few minutes just to read through that briefly now. Again, I'm always extremely curious about your responses. I'll just give everyone a few moments to vote there. Still a few votes coming in. So what do we have here? Well, attracting new global customers, that is so top of all of our minds at present. So I don't really understand how LinkedIn can help my business, 9%. Creating posts and content is really stressful. I share that with you as well sometimes, guys. So please do come on the second session. We'll be spending a lot of time on creating posts, but we do need to get your profiles looking great first. Short on time. Well, hopefully the 12 minutes a day, once you've got all this hard work done, is a bit more encouraging for you. And creating a profile that delivers results, also important. Finding new clients. So great results there, guys. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. We've almost got creating posts is taking almost, it has almost taken over now. So as I say, a great opportunity for you to come along to that second webinar session as well. And we will be doing a very deep dive into creating the right posts that get you good results. Thank you for that. So let's take a look first of all at your audience on LinkedIn. And on your benchmarking sheet, you've got your SSI index, you've got your dashboard. I would make a note here of how many people you have in your network, which you will be able to see on your profile page. And here it's really important to understand what is the quality of your network. Are these the people that you really want to be networking with? Or have you got a lot of dross on there that you need to wade through because you've either gone connect, or you've not really had the time to check people out or give it much thought before you have connected? And we all do that at some point in time. So are these the people that you really want to be connected with? And there's a few things to think about there. They are your prime targets. It may well be that they're not necessarily a prime target, but actually they have got some brilliant connections and you would like to connect to them because you get access to their connections and you get access to their connections. So Paul, who's supporting the webinar today, he and I are connected. We're first degree connections. All of Paul's connections that I don't know become my second degree connections, and all of their connections then become third degree connections. So it's almost like, you know, those steps of division from one to the other. So we really want to create first degree connections because then we can communicate with these people freely on LinkedIn. So analyze your current network, and you could potentially remove connections if you feel they're counterproductive. A lot of us have quite a number of LinkedIn connections, so I would tend to just do that on an ongoing basis, but now's the time to get really clear about who you really do want to connect with. So being well connected to your target market, and these A-listers, as I call them, will be able to help you achieve your short to medium term goals. So, you know, I might set as a goal for LinkedIn that I want to have, you know, 5 new prospects to talk to this coming month. That means that I am probably going to have to connect with 50, 60 people over the course of the month. I will probably take, you know, 15, 20 of those conversations further and start really doing some sharing and caring, maybe offer a virtual discussion. And then 5 of them, I will probably progress that into a Zoom call or something where we can sit down and have a really good conversation about what we might be able to do together. So you have to think about numbers here a little bit in terms of your monthly planning and what you want to get out of LinkedIn and how you are going to follow that up. But starting with the connections is definitely the right place to start. Now, in terms of the types of people that you are targeting on LinkedIn, I'd like to give you 2 different sides of the coin, so to speak. We've got business development. And certainly in terms of bringing in inquiries and leads and connecting with people who may become customers, LinkedIn is superb at that. And I think that's probably where we all are and what we want to achieve from LinkedIn. But as with any great networking session, it's not going to work for you if you wade into a networking group and say, my name's Norma, this is what I do, here's my business card, my brochure and price list. Would you like to buy what I have on offer? It's about really spending some time networking with those people and developing those relationships. So you're going to connect with customers, you're going to develop relationship, you're going to share some content, you're going to comment and get into conversations with their content. And what I'd like to suggest is approaching just customers is one way of doing it, but you will obviously also want to focus on your introducers and intermediaries. So these are organizations that you can connect with who have as their customers, you know, people that you would like to start networking with and do business with. So through making one connection with an introducer or an intermediary, as I call them, you can get access to their connections, which could become potential customers of yours. So introducers and intermediaries are a great thing to think about. So I would encourage you for both of these areas in terms of business development to start thinking about your customer profiling along the lines that we've covered in some of the other webinars, but also profile your introducers and intermediaries. Who are they? Which kinds of organizations? How do they describe themselves on LinkedIn? And you can start doing some searches on LinkedIn to find these people and build relationships. So on the other side of the coin, we've got professional development. And here we have content creators. And from the poll, we know that most of you are really focused on creating good content and do find it a challenge. So actually identifying people who create quality content in your sector, in your area, and connecting with them or following them will give you access to the quality content that they are writing on LinkedIn, posts, articles, etc., and things that they're sharing. So do profile these people as well. Do reach out to them. Do make sure that you are getting these connections, because you will be able to benefit from their content. Obviously, you will want to use their content to curate their content and share it, accrediting them as the source of this content and maybe even providing a link to them or tagging them so that they also get some benefit. But being really targeted about content creators will help you in that content development phase for sure. You then have influencers. And they are also really important. It may be that you can connect with these influencers. It may well be that you are able to follow influencers because they're not accepting connections anymore, which means that their content will appear in your home feed. And these are the people that you look up to for CPD. These are the people that you look up to for innovative, creative ideas. They are key influencers. You want to keep an eye on them. They are maybe writing books and such like. If you were putting an event on up here, they might be the people that you would invite to talk. You may invite them to do a podcast or a video interview or things like that. But they're not producing regular content day to day, such as the content creators. But nonetheless, for your own professional development, you'll want to keep in touch with them. So these are the 4 key A-listers that I feel work really well for you on LinkedIn, that you will want to proactively target, connect with, and follow to service your business development and your professional development needs. So with that in mind, what I have then done is put some LinkedIn advanced searches together, because I may have identified that architects, for example, are a target group of mine, and I have typed the name architect up in the LinkedIn advanced search box. Now, LinkedIn is matching profiles that have the word architect in there with my search. This is how this works. And when I click enter, it brings up 3.6 million people on my network. I've been on LinkedIn since 2006, so I have a huge network, which is great on the one hand, but I can't really start doing anything with that from a business development perspective. Up at the top here, you have all filters, which will help us filter that to get down to the real quality. So when you press all filters, this box comes up, and here you will see we have connections. And I know my first degree connections. Third degree connections are a bit further removed. So I'm going to focus on people who know somebody that I'm a first degree connection with, your second degree connections. I can add a location. So here I've put a town in, but I could have put USA, I could have put Germany, I could put the United Kingdom. So you can select countries or towns here. I have also added an industry, because if I put architect in, I want actually building and construction. I don't want information architecture, where I'm getting IT people who are not relevant to me. And there are, of course, other searches that you can do here as a basic member in the advanced search. So please do pop that down on your action plan and check these out. So in doing that, you are getting down to the real quality here, and able to identify your target client. And I've just noticed that the result there is missing, but where we ended up with essentially is here, where I had 3.6 million searches. And forgive me, I must have dropped the slide out by mistake. We ended up with 26 searches through filtering that in a more detailed manner. So you can reduce those numbers down to an actual set of 26 results. That is a great, easy number for you to go through to do your business development. And you would then put those numbers in, you would look at their connections, look at their profiles, send out a connection request, and start the conversation through that way. There's one more thing I'd like to show you here, and it is the difference that the keywords make that you type up in the top box. So here in the advanced search box, I've put head of human resources, and I want to search for that as a phrase rather than just an individual word. So I have to put the phrase in inverted commas, otherwise it will be searching for the words individually. So I've put in head of human resources, and I have got 66,000 results here. And again, I can go into that and filter second degree connections, location, etc. But I'd like to show you the difference here that these phrases make in terms of search. I have put in HR director, and using that terminology, it gives me 173,000 results. And then I've put in HR manager, and I've got 700 and I think it's 31,000 results there. So the keywords that you are putting into and the key phrases into that advanced search box really make quite a substantial difference, and it's important that you get those right. Now, if you are thinking about how people search for you, then obviously it is really important that you get the right keywords on your profile. It's also important that you understand what keywords your customers are using on their profile so that you can be found, essentially. So keywords are really, really important on LinkedIn. So it's not just about writing a great profile, it's also about including the right keywords in there as well. Now, once you have set up those detailed searches in this way, and we've got HR director with all of the different criteria in there, and we apply that, you can see here with HR director going from 780,000 results, I've got down here to 29 results. So again, that is a really, really good workable set of results. And how have I done that? I've selected second degree, United Kingdom, food production. I want English language profiles. Click 29 results. So it takes a little bit of time to set up these searches and to filter, but it's a great proactive way to do your business development. And this is a great tool that not many people know about. On the right hand side of the screen here, you've got create search result. So when you click on there, LinkedIn takes that current search that you have established with all of those different criteria, and as a basic member, you can set up a search weekly. What does that mean? Well, it means today you've performed that search. LinkedIn has looked at your entire network and sent through a set of results. Anybody from today onwards that comes into your network, they will be listed out if they match the criteria that you have set up in that search results, the second degree connection, these sectors, and at the end of a week, because as a basic member you have weekly alerts available. Premium can get them daily if they want, but weekly will be sufficient for you. You save that search result and you can have up to 3 different saved searches with a basic account. Essentially, LinkedIn is doing your business development and prospecting work for you. You then set aside a little bit of time every week to go through those connections, to look at their profiles, to send out connection requests to the ones you want to connect with, and then hopefully start up the conversation. So really great tool here for your business development. Before the session, we sent out a handout, your Boolean search. I think Paul will have that and can drop that into the Q&A for you as well, so that you can access it today using Boolean search on LinkedIn. And what this is, and Boolean search works not just on LinkedIn, guys, this also works in Google, slightly different in places, but the concept is pretty identical. And it allows you to do more detailed searches. So you can combine keywords with operators such as and, not, and or. The overall order to precedence is, example, HR director. So you could have HR director, not manager or MD, for example. Or you could say HR director and HR manager. So it's just a way of refining that search even more in terms of the people you do want to find and the people you don't want to find. So here, director, not manager, for example. The Boolean search words, these operators must be in capital letters, by the way. So just some different ones there, director and manager, director, not manager, or HR or human resources or staff management, for example. So you have different options here just to refine that search so that you're not having to wade through too many different profiles to get down to the goodness. It's important, the differences between Google, using and in place of the plus. You can use plus on Google, you can use minus in Google, always use capital. And just bear in mind, if you're used to doing Boolean search on Google, LinkedIn don't support wildcard searches where you would put a star in parentheses. So just bear those different elements in mind, but a really useful thing to do. And a bonus tip for you here in this session, and then I'm going to invite you to ask some questions if you wish. Newly hired decision makers and recently promoted people are 10 times more likely to make a purchasing decision. So some people find these sort of new job announcements on LinkedIn sometimes a little bit irritating, but actually they are priceless. get in touch with the people, congratulate them on the new role, get a conversation going, because in the first weeks and months of their new job, they are definitely going to be more likely to change suppliers and actually make a decision to work with you. Gemma, yes, the webinars are all being recorded. You can go to the website go-global.co.uk and you will be able to access the on-demand session and look at all of the webinars, previous webinars, even if you weren't able to come on them. So yes, definitely you will be able to do that. So thank you very much for that. Have you guys got any more questions? You're very welcome, Gemma. Thank you. And the handout, that Boolean search handout, is in the discussion forum for you guys, so you will be able to find it in there. So how is everybody doing? Are you good? Excellent. So I would like, therefore, if there's no more questions coming through, let's look then at the next session, which is defining your niche. And of course, we've talked about keywords and how important they are. Oh, sorry, Lucy, another question. Thank you, Lucy. Is there an ideal number of connections? Do you know, that's a really great question, Lucy, and there will be an ideal number of connections for you. I will give you an example. I used to keep my network really small, and if people connected with me, I would definitely reach out to them, have a chat, maybe offer a phone call in the days where we could, potentially even meet up where it was to mutual benefit. And then suddenly, because I deal a lot with international trade and people across the globe, I built my network up steadily and started doing searches and realized that on LinkedIn, you are only really searching your network of first, second, and third degree connections. So it dawned on me that the bigger my network is, as long as it's still quality, the more searches and the more reach I have with my LinkedIn profile and my company pages. So I think you need to think about your particular business model, and this is something that we would definitely want to have a chat about in the one-to-one session if I were working with you on your LinkedIn profile. What works for you? You know, what do you want to do with LinkedIn in your business? How are you using it? What will work best? And we'll go through all of these issues because you know, for maximum reach and visibility and maximum opportunity, the bigger the quality needs to be there, but the bigger your network, the harder it's going to work for you. LinkedIn, never give people more than 30,000 connections. That is the absolute maximum that you can have. That is tops. You wouldn't ever get more than that. Once you have reached the 30,000, you are still able to collect followers who will be able to see your content. So if you're an influencer, then that would be important. And in terms, you've just asked a question, Lucy, about pruning connections. Yes, that can be a good thing, but gosh, the prospect of pruning 1,000 connections and you know, going through that could take you an awful long time. So you might just want to do that as you go along, and don't prune too many. You know, just prune the ones that are really either incredibly poor or really counterproductive, because you know, you may have connections, they may not be valuable to you today, but if they go on to new roles or such like, they could be valuable to you in the future. And bear in mind, you know, if Barack Obama had a rubbish LinkedIn profile, I might actually still want to connect with them. So you really have to take a bit of a broader view here. If LinkedIn is really important to you in the business and you're going to use it B2B or B2C to build up your network and use it as a business development tool, and it can be incredibly powerful. I'm going to share a case study with you today. Then I'd be looking to build a quality number that is as large as it possibly can be. There is a magic level in LinkedIn, which is 500 connections. Once you hit that 500 connection threshold, you're then going from good to great. And the way that you would differentiate yourself after that is through, getting good recommendations and becoming a really proactive networker. But certainly under the 500 mark, you'd be wanting to build up to that minimum threshold, because that sort of takes you to the next level. So I hope that's a useful answer for everybody. So thank you very much for that as well. I'm just checking. I think I've got all of your questions answered there as well. Fabulous. So in terms of your LinkedIn profile, therefore, it's important that you think about what keywords are important to you and what you want to include in your profile so that you can get found on LinkedIn as well. And this is a really important area to focus on. So as part of your LinkedIn profile development, because you want to say, this is who I am, and show yourself off as best you possibly can, you need to do some brainstorming about what your important keywords are. And this is tricky to do for ourselves, actually, I find, but one that's really valuable to get your head into. So you'll want to brainstorm keywords around who are your A-lister clients, who are your target clients, and what do they call themselves? What are the keywords around your products and services? What are the keywords around your skills and experience? Do you do any volunteer activities? And these are all areas of your LinkedIn profile that I would be encouraging you to complete. Do you have any licenses, certifications, accreditations, and such like? And of course, if you are asking people to recommend you because your keywords and recommendations work really hard for you, what keywords might you want to see in recommendations? And what keywords would you use to describe any achievements, be that professional or personal? And what evidence have you got of those achievements? So, I've worked with 660 clients, trained over 5,000 people, done X, Y, Z, worked with these big brands, delivered, an extra million turnover for clients in terms of business development roles or whatever that might be. But bringing in that evidence is important. So what are the main keywords and the pieces of evidence that you would like to include on your profile? And then you have a section about interests. So what would the keywords be around your particular interests as well? Now, can be tricky to do this. So what I would recommend is that you find an interview buddy. And this is something that I've done with quite a few people in a one-to-one session. I've just sat down and interviewed you, typed while you're talking, and then we've reviewed that content during the session. I do a little bit of work on it, send it back through to you, and you can then refine it and include that then on your LinkedIn profile. So a way that works really well, and why it works really well, and you'll probably have to do this virtually at present. It works really well because when I ask you questions about you and about the business, you're talking very naturally about it. And I capture that, or your interview buddy would capture that. And when you then convert that into your about section and your headline, it's a really attractive read and it sounds very, very natural. So an interview buddy is a great way to go about doing this, and it will get you a very good result. And we'll look at some examples shortly. So once you've got all of your keywords there, you want to include them in your headline, in your current and past work experience, and your about section, because these are the areas where your keywords will work hardest for you. These are the most important areas on your profile. So let's have a look at what this translates to in terms of how your LinkedIn profile looks overall. First of all, your image on the LinkedIn profile. Don't do things like this, where you've got your snorkel mask on. These are real profiles, by the way. Don't use the company logo. It should be a head and shoulders shot. And frankly, you know, so much communication happens without words. We like to see people because that gives us a better impression of who they are. So get a really good head and shoulders shot done, preferably a professional one. Don't do things like this. It can be very humorous, but humor is very different from country to country, so I wouldn't recommend it for exporting. And just make sure the quality is good, that it's not blurry or fuzzy or grainy, and make sure you've got a good background as well for the shot. And don't do things like this. He may well own a chain of bars, but I still don't think it makes a particularly good impression. So just be careful about how you present yourself, that you're upholding the company values and the company brand, and putting your best foot forward, essentially. These are examples of lots of different types of LinkedIn profiles, some good, some not so good. So you can just have a look. Obviously, a lot of them aren't fulfilling the head and shoulders shot criteria. Some of them aren't good quality. Some of them are obviously not done for professional purposes. So, you know, I think you need to decide what will work best for you. You want to be demonstrating a bit of personality and to make it, you know, outstanding and look really good. Some people quite like to do the drawings here, the caricatures. So you need to make the choice, as I said, that is absolutely right for yourselves. And I'm sure you'll come up with a good result. So the thing with your LinkedIn profile is that 90% of prospects have already made their mind up about you and your product before they even consider connecting with you. That's Forrester research. And it's crazy, isn't it? They're going to look at your profile and they're going to already have made a decision about whether they're likely to do business with you. So first impressions really count. Make sure you don't have spelling mistakes. This is the PA to an American congressman, and she hasn't really spelled anything properly. So do get it properly proofread. And let's dive into the different sections now so that you can see what a difference these make. And I've got some examples of the area that will appear when you're being searched for on LinkedIn. And what you want is a great background image that just has the company branding up there. Stephen at Logico here, he's even got some of the trust enforcers up there in the head, the background header, a great head and shoulders shot, and he's got a good headline underneath his name as well. And you can get these little icons on LinkedIn now, which might be suitable. Some people like them, some people don't. Again, on brand and a good headline here. We have Vicky Harrison from Prismatic Wealth as a cracking profile. Clients of mine that I've worked with previously, and she's done a great job with hers. She actually portrays their ideal target clients on the background image with the company logo, which works well. And I like that she's got the director of Prismatic Wealth, straight talking specialist financial advice for corporate and private clients. So she's already telling people who she's interested in connecting and working with. We have Liz Drury, voiceover artist, again, a really good profile, a small business, but Liz is doing some great work and fabulous she does a lot of the voiceovers for adverts that we might see. We have here a slightly different way of doing things. Ambic, the profile's not great, but I love the header. Francis will be no doubt working on this further. They have 4 different areas to the business, so they've divided the background image into 4 different areas, and something you can do really easily on Canva, or get your designers to do that for you if you have someone. But that works really well, and a really strong international message here: British furniture built to last. I do think that works well. A maritime company here, again, they've adopted the same background images and format for all of the staff. The staff have adapted the profile page to suit them. It's a family business. He's following in the steps of his father and grandfather. So he tells his story in the About section, which again will be very appealing in international markets and very personal. So that also works extremely hard and delivers good results for them. Simon, B2C, the shoe guy, he hand dyes shoes, and used LinkedIn for a long time actually before he got his website ready, and was actually taking orders and requests through LinkedIn. It was and probably still is a main source of business for him. He sold initially just men's shoes, and he's now obviously looking at women as well. And LinkedIn, incredibly important and really helpful in building his business in the early days. Anne English, she's a visual communicator, so Anne's profile is another good one to look at. She's now going global and has done some incredible Zoom webinars and taken part in events that have managed to launch her into the USA. We have here sports people. I've put this one up because Richie's got a great profile, but he has used the sort of cartoon image, which can be nice. And Tony here, who's sort of quite salesy, he's got some key messages up there and his business card so that you're able to get in touch with him. So there are many, many, many different examples that I could share with you, but that will give you a good impression, hopefully, of the results that you will be able to achieve. So creating a great headline, and you know, it's only 220 characters, but it's really hard to use up the bulk of the characters, but write something that's really compelling. So this is something, again, that we can look at creating in the buddy interview or in the one-to-one session. I'll certainly do my best to help you with the content on your profile. You have 220 characters, showcase your personality. I did have a chap at a workshop put his hand up and said, what do? I haven't got a personality. But I'm sure you do, and let's just get that, you know, that sort of essence of you into your LinkedIn profile. You want to include some keywords and phrases in the headline. Remember, it's really important. They work harder for you in that area. You might want to include your industry or sector specialism, but above all, I would be stressing the value you bring to your clients. You know, what is it that you do for your customers? Your About section, that's the longer form content, 2,600 characters. And it should really set out who you are and what you do, who you help. You know, if clients read your prospects, read your About section, and they can see that you want to work with these and these companies, or you have experience working with these clients, they will feel much more confident about making contact with you, that you understand them and they can do business with you. Set out how you help your customers and what the benefits are to your customers of working with you. And above all, because only your first degree connections can see your contact details on your LinkedIn profile, you will want to set out here how they can get in touch with you. And at the bottom of the About section, I do like you to include your call to action and your contact information. The profile should be easy to read and scan, so using headlines, bullets, short sentences, keeping it neat, concise, and to the point is really helpful. Just a big wodge of copy isn't going to work as hard for you. Keep the paragraphs quite short. And the formula really that I like to take clients through is, inject some personality, but have a really good opening hook. If you can grab people's attention in the first or second sentence, then they're probably going to go through and read the rest of it. You'll want to be considering, and you will get this from your customer profiling, what are the challenges and pain points that my customers have, and how does my solution help them with that? So, for example, I worked with a small business in the health and well-being arena, a holistic therapist. She had an opening statement of, imagine waking up in the morning pain-free. A real attention grabber, something that many people would respond to and continue working. And she then went on to describe how she worked with clients to help them achieve that. So mentioning who your target customers are, what your unique selling points are, what makes you unique, what makes you different, how you set yourself apart from your competitors. And of course, bring in some evidence. You talking about how great you are isn't really a strong enough, what we call trust enforcer. Bring in some evidence. You know what clients say about you, even if it's just a generic statement like, clients tell me that I'm really great at what I do and someone who knows my stuff. It could be something as simple as that, but you can bring in some testimonials as well. You'll want paragraph or two about the business, not the whole story, because you will write that in the current work experience section, but a couple of paragraphs to introduce the business and what you're all about. And then some personal sound bites, what do you love doing? Maybe a little bit about where you live, family, that you're learning German in lockdown, or you're learning to cook, or whatever you feel is appropriate without giving any innermost secrets away. These are conversation starters, and it's a really good thing to include at the bottom, because people do business with people that they trust and with people that they identify with. And then you'll want to have a call to action. So on mine, it says something like, let's have a virtual coffee, get in touch. We'll take 10 minutes, have a little bit of a chat, and see how we might be able to work together to mutual benefit. And your contact information at the bottom, which I've already mentioned. So that's kind of the about section formula I suggest that works really hard for my clients. It has a good number of your keywords in there. So it's a good chunk of content that's going to be working hard for you in terms of search results. So that's an important thing to think about as well. So Vicky Harrison's profile here, she starts off with, most people worry about their retirement. Will I have enough money? Am I saving enough? What will it look like? And with worry, comes the tendency to ignore the issues and not do stuff about it. And then she goes in, that's the pain point. She then goes into what they do about it, about the company, what she values in the business. So it's a nice profile to look at. You can go to Vicky's profile and read that in full, and a good strong call to action at the end. We did these in a workshop session, which worked really well. John Hewitt, John worked with him on his profile in a one-to-one session, and his looks really great. He's in the engineering world. Quality International Business Development, which is his role in the engineering sector, is all about building productive, trustworthy and enjoyable relationships and doing your best for the customer every step of the way. He then goes on in a very personal note. His real break in life came when he took on this role, and he talks about, advice he'd give to people, and then goes on to talk about the business. So it's very heartfelt, genuine content that makes an interesting read. Follows the formula, and a really nice strong call to action at the bottom. There are many different ways of writing your profile, but I find this one works well and hard for people, both for the search engines and for readers. but there are many different options that we can look at and create one that works well for you. So this is just a summary of what goes into making an outstanding profile, getting a 100% complete all-star status profile, getting the right name on there. And this seems like such an easy, small point, but, you know, if your name is William, but everybody calls you Will and people are going to be searching for you as Will, then maybe you want to put Will actually on your LinkedIn profile rather than William if people are not going to be searching for that. So just think about consistency in terms of your name and how you call yourself. Get a great headline. You will, when you set up your LinkedIn profile, need to put in industry and postcode. And above all, I would say whenever you're writing any content, focus on the client benefits. Make sure you've got a great photograph. Personalize your URL. So that you would do on your profile, and just go to the help section. It will set out how to do this. But when you set up your URL, LinkedIn puts lots of gobbledygook, numbers and letters after your name. You can tidy it up so you've just got your name in your LinkedIn URL. And add your contact details, which I mentioned at the beginning. Add your websites and your full address with the UK in there as well. Have a call to action at the bottom of the About section. You will need to have 3 job roles listed on your profile for optimum results. If you've been in the same business, perhaps you could list 3 separate roles as 3 separate jobs. It's something I suggest to students or people starting out in their career to get better results on LinkedIn. And you need 20 skills minimum and 50 connections minimum for your profile to reach all-star status. Fill out as many areas as possible. It's really great to upload some resources to your LinkedIn profile. So you may have videos, you may have some brochures, you could have some handouts, checklists, you might have a PowerPoint presentation or a small animation or something. So put as many different types of media on your LinkedIn profile as possible in the respective different areas. And if you've written books or ebooks, or you've got special projects on the go, or you're doing volunteering, then get that information up there as well. All of this content works hard for you, and it makes you a more compelling proposition when it comes to people reviewing your profile and deciding whether they're going to connect with you. I would recommend you get at least 10 recommendations on your profiles from people, and we'll be looking at how you can use that to optimum effect. And we've talked at the very beginning about the settings, you know, privacy and communication, and getting that right. And just make sure you test all of the links and you proofread it. So quite a lot to think of there. Maybe you can take a photo of that with your, or a screen grab, a photo with your mobile phone or a screen grab. That's a really great checklist to have at hand. I'm just going to have a look here. We've got another question. I use, Caroline, I use my maiden name in business, but my business is set up in my married name. Should I show my surname on my profile? At the moment, I have my married name in brackets before your maiden name. It's a tricky one, isn't it, Caroline? And I think what you've done is good. Because the search engines will pick up both names. So I think that will work well for you. You might want to mention that again in the About section so that the search engines really pick up those 2 different names. And eventually you'll probably transition, I would guess, to just your married name. But, you know, that's something that we could, if you wanted to do a one-to-one, Caroline, it would be a pleasure. That's something that we could talk about in a little bit more depth. But people in that sort of transition phase, they tend to use the brackets, and I think that works quite well. So I would like to share with you some additional features here now on LinkedIn. Oh, I'm just going to make sure there's no more questions there. No, there's not. So here we have your profile page, and there's a section in the middle you will notice on your own profile, add profile section, and I just want to show you what's tucked away in here. You can share your profile, and that is something that's sometimes quite useful to do. Just sharing your profile with people who may not be that engaged on LinkedIn. You can also download your profile to a PDF, and I find that quite handy. If you keep your LinkedIn profile up to date, you might want to attach that and the profile of your team members to proposals or bids that you're putting out, for example, can be really, really handy. But you do need to keep your LinkedIn profiles up to date. There's also, under this add profile sections piece, there is this opportunity to go through all of the individual sections on LinkedIn and complete them one by one. LinkedIn will at times prompt you to review them and add to them on an ongoing basis. So again, something else for you to think about there. As exporters and budding exporters, on your LinkedIn profile in the top right-hand corner, there's a globe. And when you click on there, it brings up this box, add profile in another language. I mentioned this at the beginning. You would click on add profile and it brings up this box, and you can see here, you can choose from one from 24 different languages that are available to you. LinkedIn takes a clone of your LinkedIn profile, and you would then populate that with the translated content. Please don't use online translation tools. They're pretty good, but they have flaws in there, and you want the content on your LinkedIn profile to be absolutely spot on. So make sure that you do get that done by native speakers, if not professional translation company. So once you have your all singing, all dancing LinkedIn profile sorted, you can then start to include it on all of your marketing. So include your LinkedIn profile, as Colin has done here at Zero Carbon Futures, on your website, and make sure that you've got your LinkedIn profile listed there so it's easy for people to reach out and connect with you. And Solar Glide's done the same here on their website as well. And include it in your email footer, in your marketing, on your business card potentially. So you really want to use it wherever possible so that you're encouraging people to come and visit your LinkedIn profile and connect with you. So an opportunity, guys, if you would like to ask a few more questions, please do. And I'm very happy to answer them. I know it's a huge amount to take in, but once you have this work done, oh my goodness, your LinkedIn profile is going to work really, really hard for you. So let's look at connecting to your A-listers now. And you've got a choice between first, second degree connections. You can send out connection requests. You can send out Inmails if you're on premium. That is LinkedIn's own email service. Premium starts at around £36 per month, so it is a bit more expensive, but if it's bringing in the business, it's well worthwhile. It doesn't give you much additional features over and above Inmails that aren't already available to basic members, but it does actually give you more of what you get as a basic member. I would suggest, if you're using LinkedIn a lot, try a free premium trial first before you make your decisions. So with your first level contacts, you can communicate as much as you want. You can only communicate with second and third degree connections via Inmail. You have to connect with them before you can send messages, so you have to get that connection request right. I had this chap, the lovely David Sabucci in Canada, in my eyesight. I found him through a contact I had here and wanted to connect with him on LinkedIn because I was off to Canada on business, and looked at his profile and found, this is what I call looking for hooks, found that he'd written a book about growing up as a Japanese boy in Canada. And I love books anyway. I bought it online and read the book, and then crafted a really short message to David. You get 300 characters to craft a message, and it took me about an hour to craft that 300 characters using every character I could, and sent a message and just said how much I'd loved reading his book and I was coming to Canada and would he be happy to connect with me. And I got an absolutely lovely response from David within less than an hour of connecting with them. And we've been in touch ever since. My profile views, because he's such a well-connected guy in Canada, they went up exponentially in Canada, and he was able to put me in touch with people, etc. It was absolutely priceless. So really, really great connection to have. So it really, really does pay to craft that very tailored message. And Michelle's just asking here, would you recommend using Sales Navigator as an alternative to a premium account? Michelle, yes, Sales Navigator gives you a lot of extra features and functionality. It's almost like a little mini CRM in there. You can tag people, you can follow them, you can save profiles, you can really keep much more track on that business development work. But I would only pay, a Sales Navigator starts at around £76 a month. I would only be doing that if you are really serious about business development and you're doing a lot of it. You can really do a great deal using the features that are already available in LinkedIn. So I would definitely get to grips with basic first, save your money, get used to the tools, get used to, because it's what you're saying to people and it's how you're connecting with them that's most important. Hone your craft, get that right first, and then you can think about Sales Navigator if there's a real value there. So coming back to those connection requests, again, you have 300 characters. So this chap here, Remigius in Lithuania, is one of my favorite countries and a place I like doing business in very much. I crafted a short message. He's the mayor of Vilnius. I saw he was connected to Sandra Kundrota, who is a really good contact at the British Chambers of Commerce. So I crafted just a short, simple message. I wrote it in Word because there you can, at the bottom left-hand corner, you can click on words and you can check the word count and the character count. You get 300 characters. So you have to really hit the mark. But he got back straight away, and again we entered into a good conversation and a good connection, hopefully again to mutual benefit. But do check out the profile first. It's really important to look at their network. You may have connections in common. It may well be that there's just something in the profile that gives you that hook to craft that personal tailored message. When you are connecting with people on mobile, please take care, because if you hit the connection button, it sends one of those awful "I'd like to add you to my professional network" messages. So please hit more on mobile and then go to personalize invite and tailor the invitation to make it personal. People who personalized messages on LinkedIn get a 60% higher response rate. It's showing that you care about people that really, really matters. Now, when it comes down to Inmails, if you are on premium, and some of you may well be, so I'll run this through this quite quickly. You click on message, it brings up the Inmail box. Inmail is available in premium services only. you get a number. So let's say you get 45 Inmails, for example. If you don't use them, they will roll over and accumulate for 90 days, but then they expire. You don't need a connection to Inmail somebody, whereas you need to be first degree connections to message them in LinkedIn. If they haven't responded within 3 days, then they will get sent a reminder. And Inmails, you've got 200 characters for the title and 1900 characters for the body. If you're doing a big burst of business development work and you want to buy extra ones, they cost $10 a shot. But if that gets you business, it's worth every penny and could well be cheaper than actually upgrading your profile. I must say on LinkedIn, if you do upgrade, you can downgrade again on a month-by-month basis. So there's nothing wrong with doing that. You don't lose any content. You would just lose the functionality. And LinkedIn will undoubtedly try and tease you with free offers of trials and such like on an ongoing basis. So make sure you do your research. Check out whether you've got mutual connections before you connect. Have you got LinkedIn followers in common? Did you go to the same school or university? Have you lived or worked in similar locations, shared mutual employers, or have mutual interests, skills and expertise? Are you members of particular groups? Are you gluten-free? Do you go trail running? Do you meditate? There might be all sorts of different things that you have in common. Do you follow the similar influencers? Have you read their books? Do you have charities or causes in common? I got a client in the food and drink sector, a meeting with a chief exec of a huge food company down in the East Midlands because he was supporting a heart donation charity. And I had an experience with friends of mine whose young son had to have a heart transplant. And we had a very heartfelt and genuine conversation around that. And that led to more discussions and a really great result. But it was a very genuine and heartfelt conversation that initiated that at the beginning. And what content do they create and share and start commenting and you know, start conversations in terms of their content? If you look at their company pages, again, things to look out for here: employees, competitors. Are they hiring? Have they just moved or expanded the facilities? You might, if you have premium, you'll be able to see insights, so stats and metrics about the business. Are they in growth? Are they in decline? What are the company values? Who's following them? What are their products and services? And what content do they create and share? So there's lots of different areas here where you can find hooks to not just tailor that connection request, but also to start the conversation and find common topics of interest. So once you've got that connection request, you can then get through to some genuine good business development conversations. So I'd like to just delve a little bit into this aspect of, well, we're connected, so now what do we do with this? And, you know, what we do know from research, and again, this is Forrester research, you will get a 70% higher conversion rate if you follow up on leads within an hour. So that speedy response, that proactivity, that being very accessible and helpful to clients will get you a much, much better result. And it's really interesting, isn't it? 50% of us take up to 5 days to respond to that initial connection, that initial request from clients. So the swifter you are, the more effective you are, the higher your conversion rate will be. So my question, I guess, to you is, are you following up with new connections? And how are you doing that? After making a request to connect, And if they reach out to you, how swiftly are you responding to them? That is just such an important question. Are you making a tailored and personal response to them? Are you looking at their profile and really being thoughtful about how you respond to them? Are you generous with your expertise? So, expertise requests are great ways to get into conversation with people online. I had a client who was interested in laminating cloth on handbags and shoes in terms of their own production. So I sent an expertise request off to the PA of the chief exec at Peter Kaiser in Germany, because they did a similar thing, and just said, I'm approaching you because it said on your profile you're open to expertise requests. And could you share some information with us on who you use and the process? We got a wonderful response. We've got an immediate response saying, yes, we're very happy to do that. And within 2 days, the client got lots of information. People love genuine, heartfelt expertise requests. It makes them feel good, and everybody likes to be helpful, usually. So again, they can be really helpful. And have you got something valuable to give and share? And, what might that be? How could you best serve people getting in touch with you and the people in your network? What can you do for them? So rule number 1 is definitely don't sell. In terms of engaging with new connections and, of course, your content, 1 in 10 messages can be about sales initially, but certainly no more than that. And I would stick to that ratio. You really want to be sharing content that is genuine, that is heartfelt, that is entertaining, funny, I'm learning something, or it's just feel-good content that is really good to read. And then 1 in 10 can be about selling. So you may be launching a new product, you may be positioning your product or service offer, it may be a special offer that you have, but keep it at that ratio. That's the content mix that works best on LinkedIn. And we know this, and I'll be talking about this a lot more in the webinar session 2 about research that's been done on over 3,000 LinkedIn profiles. So we really do know what works best here. Review the profile for hooks. Make sure that you're reading through and you find something as a conversation opener, and think quite hard about this aspect of, well, what can you give? What can you do for your audience? What can you give to them that will really be of benefit to them? Send a really nice welcome message once you've got that connection request. It may be appropriate to offer a virtual call, but please don't offer a virtual call if it means that you're going to be trying to sell what you do to them. I'm quite sensitive about this, because I like, really good networking practices. So if I connect with someone and I get a really long sales message within a couple of minutes or within half an hour of connecting with them, I tend to just remove the connection. You don't go networking to just wade in and sell before you've even had a conversation. Show people that you care and that you trust them and that you are trustworthy. So really be authentic and genuine. It's the same as face-to-face business. This is all about being authentic and genuine and networking and wanting the best for people. You can now on LinkedIn also do a voice or video message, which is really, really easy to do. And we'll have a look at that in webinar 2 as well. Really nice features there that you will be able to use. LinkedIn Live is not here for a lot of us as yet, but it is in testing and beta testing in the States and is being rolled out in certain places. So watch this space. And have a follow-up process. Keep tags on people that you've connected with. You will want to, engage with their content and encourage them to engage with your content. That way you stay visible to each other. So I tend to keep a list and just make sure that you are checking it out on an ongoing basis so that that connection persists and you can continue to see each other on your homepage news feed. Share useful content, work out what is going to be of real interest and value to your customers and create some specific content in this vein. You've done your customer profiling. So what are they really interested in? What are my customers and prospects concerned about? What are they hoping to achieve? What are the challenges that they face? And if you create content that is around the topics that are top of mind for them, then they're going to be engaging with you. You can run polls on LinkedIn. You could put some video content up there. And we will be talking about how images and video can make your content work so much harder for you on LinkedIn as well. It may well be that you are making introductions to a contact. I do that quite a bit, where I'm connecting people. Oh, I know you're looking for such and such. Here's a few people that I think you might be interested in. Or I know you've been having a problem with this. Check this out. I think this could be a good solution for you. So both of those aspects are a great feature to have in your following up on connections toolkit. You might want to offer to schedule a short introductory call. I have the facility through Office 365 to put out appointments or an appointment link so people can go in and book a call directly in my calendar. You could use something like Calendly is very good and just make that available so that people can just click on that and connect through and book a short 10-15 minute call with you by way of an initial introduction. Just be clear on the why, and the why is what is going to be of value to your connections. That's the real impetus behind this. So as a last sort of short giveaway, and then we'll do a little bit of action planning and some Q&A at the end, and we have a few suggestions here for you as well. There is a tool called Crystal Knows, and I will mention this in next week's session again. It is really good online tool, and you get 10 free goes. The paid for version costs about £23 a month, but if you're serious about business development, it's really worthwhile. And what that does for you, Crystal Knows links with LinkedIn, and it gives you this personality tag on the right hand side, and it's kind of a bit like, assessing your profile, a bit like Myers-Briggs or psychometric profiling. It is really clever. It professes 70 to 80% accuracy, so do take it with a pinch of salt, but it is really, really good. And when I click on here, and I've taken David Sabucci, it gives you, and I'll just expand this up, it gives you a quick outline of David's profile, what kind of person he is, how he likes to communicate. And then you get these lovely tools about, I need to call David, I need to email him, and it will give you about 10 different things to choose from to make an introduction, to present, to brainstorm, to make a sales pitch, to talk about a problem. And it will give you prompts and approaches that you can then work with. You also get here a full profile. You're able to print it or download it as a PDF. It will also give you lots of ideas around keywords as well. It will see how your profile matches with their profile. It will then, if you're interested, go into the personality types and give you a little bit more information. But I think the thing here is it will help you with this approach, so getting the right tone and approach and knowing how to construct those follow-up messages can be really, really helpful. So if you're coming next week, have a bit of a look at this. You can also create playbooks, which will give you prompts for different types of conversations and meetings. So it is really a phenomenal tool, and I hope you enjoy taking a look at that. Now, the lovely John Hewitt, whose profile I have already showed you, I worked with him he came to the webinar, he then did a one-to-one session. We worked on his LinkedIn profile, we did a little bit of follow-up, and in the 2 months, December 20 to January 21, his responses to introduction emails went up 41%. His LinkedIn followers increased by 221%. That was the company page. The posts that he put out saying we're looking for distributors internationally, and there were 2 posts, gave 7 genuine distributor inquiries from these countries. His social selling index went up 14%, and they got in 41 new quotes, which was 241% increase on their previous averages. So it didn't take long, and it wasn't a huge amount of work. Yes, you know, this also includes work that John did on creating posts and reaching out to people. We'll be covering that next week, but you can get some phenomenal, good results through using LinkedIn, and it doesn't need to take a huge amount of time. So guys, I'm here for you. I'm really happy to work with you. Take advantage of the one-to-one opportunity. You email into Go Global or go to the website, one-to-one sessions, put in your application. I'd love to work with you in person. We'll make it super easy, super practical and pragmatic, but please do tap into the one-to-one sessions, and let's get your profiles all singing and all dancing and bringing in some good results for you. So finally, a quick word, and then I know Paul has something that he wants to do with you. Your 12 minutes a day, daily reply to notifications, add a few connections, create, share, or like posts. Think about birthdays and congratulations. They can be great conversation starters. And think about who's viewed my profile. You can check that out on your LinkedIn profile. You can see the last 5 searches. Premium members get 90 days worth, but even the last 5 searches is a good start. Weekly, if you've set up saved searches, review those, check your SSI score, follow up on acceptances, recommendations you'll be wanting to give and get those. We'll be focusing on those next week. And then monthly, writing an article again, we'll be following up on that next week. Natasha, the one-to-one sessions, you can go to go-global.co.uk, and on one-to-one sessions there, you just click through and send an email in. Or the people that, the email address that you got the confirmation for today's webinars from, just reply to that, and you will get an immediate response. So do send in your requests, guys. It would be an absolute pleasure to work with you. Don't forget signing up for more webinars if you want to come along. If you're not signed up for next week, please do. Oh, sorry, I have just pulled up the, there we go. 2 more sessions yet to be announced. So we'll be getting back to you about those. If you keep an eye out, that will be announced, I'm imagining, in the next week. And again, the one-to-one session, do bear that in mind. And I am now going to hand over to Paul, because I know that Paul has got something that he would like to do with you. And please, 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 guys, do connect with me on LinkedIn. It would be a pleasure, even just to have a quick chat. I'm here for you, and really happy to do my best for you. So over to you, Paul. Thank you.
Thanks, Norma. Thanks. It's just a very quick one. I'm just going to launch a new poll. And it's just really to get some really quick feedback on today's session. Just very, very quickly, one question. And while you're doing that as well, if you do have any more questions for Norma, please pop them in the Q&A box. We've got a few minutes left. So if you do have another question, I'm sure Norma will be happy to help. But I've just started a very quick poll. If everyone can just pop some answers there, that will be fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Your feedback on the polls are really invaluable to us in terms of planning, but also really helpful for the people that are funding this to know, just in terms of quality and how good that is for you. So please do share your thoughts on today's session, how that was for you. I really do hope that you found that productive. I know it's such a lot to take in. Don't forget about the on-demand recordings that are available to you as well. And if you do have any more questions, I'm just checking that I've answered all the ones so far, then please do pop your questions in the box. I will be here for another 5 minutes, so very happy to take any questions or thoughts that you might have. And how's the poll going, Paul? Are we getting the responses in there?
Yes, I think we're there. So thank you, everyone. It looks like we've got a good number of responses, and it's all been brilliant responses as well, Norma. So I'll share that with you.
Do you know, I love these sessions. I just think they're fabulous, and it's such a great opportunity to share this good stuff with people. So I really do hope that you are enthused and looking forward to cracking on with your LinkedIn. You don't have to do it alone, guys, so please come through. It might be that you want a brief chat with me before you go ahead with a one-to-one session. Drop me a note on LinkedIn. I'm really happy to help in any way that I can. This needs to work for you guys, and it's a wonderful business development opportunity, so do make the most of it.
It doesn't look like there's any more questions, Norma, so I think we can end it there.
Fabulous. Okay, well, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Bye now.